You gotta be making some waves to get Detroit wanting to pull your franchise.
That's how we do it in the South.
You know, Rob, I need advice on how to sell.
See, that's your problem. You need to know too much. You're that kid that tries to figure out the magic trick.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to learn from the master.
You need to find somebody that teaches. That's what you need to do. You know how I learned?
How?
I figured it out. That's how.
You obtained information? Did you?
No, trial and error. That's how I did it. That's the best way to learn. So, I mean, that's the thing. Everybody's got what they're good at. You need to know too much. So let's focus on like things you do know, like working a camera. What's going on, guys, and welcome to Rabbit's Used Cars. Was that a dick move? I'm pretty sure that was a dick move. Anyway, Jeff is a good sport. He'll get over it. You know, a little hesitant about telling this story. Gotta be real careful how I word this because this is pretty fresh. I get tons of people wanting to sell me cars. And a lot of them are good deals. I bought a lot of those cars. You know, a lot of you guys have sent me messages. But I've got a lot of car dealers that I work with that, you know, we will swap around, you know, from time to time. I'm not a big fan of that because I'm a big believer in if you've got something you can't sell, there's usually a reason behind it. Now, sometimes I'll take those on, you know, a little problem child or whatever, and do a few little swaps, little touches, and we'll make it go away. But the internet's a funny business, and we were talking about that, and internet's a huge part of sales now. And, you know, cars get a rep online. You know, you start seeing something online a little too much. You start seeing cars, you know, like, why can't they sell this thing? And then you end up with it, and you're trying to sell it. Well, what's his name had it over here for sale. He couldn't sell it. And it may be a great car, but automatically in your head, you're thinking, this thing's a turd. You know, something's wrong with it. And, you know, that first impression is very important in life and on the internet. But this is actually kind of ties into a funny story and not really so much on that. Had a new car dealer out of state reach out to me that had a small collection, the guy that owned the dealership. I didn't know him personally. I do know of him. And he wanted to sell a small group of cars he had. They were all kind of odd lower mile cars. You know, like real low mile, leftover stuff. Usually dealers kind of acquire this kind of crap. You know, like you see low mile indie pace cars and stuff, but a lot of times you'll get like year-end leftover cars and they'll keep them for demos or whatever, things like that. So it might be a Monte Carlo that's 10 years old, has 2,500 miles on it. Or something random. And he had just a group of cars, nothing really good. He had one OBS truck that it had like 12,000 miles on it, but somebody backed into it and it had kind of been bumped and banged a little bit, so it really wasn't that nice of a truck, but it was super low miles. And then on top of it was a V6 truck, which is like wet dope. That shit don't sell. But, you know, just kind of odd, just random things. Like he had like a Oldsmobile 98, like one of the front wheel drive versions. It was like this ugly beige color, and it had like 8,000 miles on it. It's like grandma car. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have gave 50 grand for the whole lot, and he wanted like 150 grand for all of them, which I thought was way overpriced. And I pretty much told him pretty quick after I saw what he had that I'm probably not going to be interested. And then you got to throw transport on top of all this. So, you know, this is just not typical stuff I sell. I love low mile stuff. I like low mile cool stuff. You know, a 52,000 mile 69 Corvette, that's cool. You know, a C8 with, you know, 29 miles on it, that's cool. A, you know, Oldsmobile 98 with 8,000 miles on it in paper bag beige, not so much. But, you know, there's ass for every seat. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's a forum out there, the guys that collect front-wheel drive Oldsmobile 98s and teach their own. But anyway, So I passed on it. And I had a good friend of mine who is also out of state reach out to me. He goes, hey, did blah, 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 blah reach out to you about some cars for sale? And I said, yeah, he did. I said, I'll be honest with you, it's kind of a mixed bag of odd shit. Nothing really blew my skirt up. He goes, yeah, same here. He goes, did you hear about him? And I said, no. I said, I don't really know him that good. I said, I know of him. I mean, it's a fairly decent sized dealership. And I said, what's going on? I'm a sucker for a good story. He goes, get a load of this shit. He's selling off everything personal asset wise right now because he's in trouble with the franchise. So keep in mind, new car dealerships are franchises, just like a McDonald's franchise or a Subway franchise or whatever. So this particular franchise, he's in trouble of losing it because he's got in trouble. And I'm like, oh shit. You got to think about it. I have friends in the dealership world that were trafficking cocaine and were in trouble of losing their franchise. So, I mean, you got to fuck up pretty good to get these guys on your ass. And he goes, yeah, it's pretty bad. Something you got to understand about dealership life, and it tickles me. A lot of you guys come into this, you're like, Rabbit, I'm going to work at my first new car dealership. And I know every time I hear that, the very first thing that pops in my head, there's a 90% chance you're going to turn around and walk back out of that place. You work there for a week, you'll never go back. It takes a they're cut from a different cloth, the people that work in dealerships all the time. And I'm not saying it like a bad thing, but you've got drama in every new car dealership. I don't give a damn what brand, what state, what anything, what demographic. They all have the same people working at them. And I've said this before. And usually the owners of these dealerships, they come one of two ways. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I got a feeling a lot of you are going to agree with me. The owners of new car franchises, either they're straight up super good guys or total pieces of shit. And there's rarely any in between. Either they run a really tight ship and a reputable guy, or they're strippers and cocaine. And this guy leaned more to the latter. So I'm like, man, what's going on with him? What did he do? I mean, I'm kind of curious because, like I said, you gotta be making some waves to get Detroit wanting to pull your franchise. He goes, well, he's got 2 underage girls pregnant. And keep in mind, this guy's like probably in his 50s. And I'm like, holy shit, like both 18 or 17 or whatever, And I'm like, well, man, that's crazy. But I'm like, that's baby shit. I mean, I've seen way crazier shit than that. He goes, oh yeah, they found a dead guy at his house. And I'm like, what? Back up. He killed a man? He goes, no, well, we don't think he killed him. Well, we don't know. And keep in mind, I was just talking to this guy earlier rather. So the story is, he threw this big ass party at his house. I'm sure he's got a nice pad. Most guys own a dealership. It's a mortgage. They got a nice house. And he said he threw this big party, and a guy, they just found him dead. But this is the weird part. He had an overdose. That's how he died. But he was handcuffed when they found him. And I'm like, oh, yeah, man, it's all over the paper. Like it's popping up. And like the dealership, he's got salesmen leaving. He's got people leaving this dealership because they see the shit going down. And that's why he's selling these things. And I'm like, holy shit. I can only imagine. Hold that thought for 1 second. Hello? Speaking of sleazy car dealer stuff, that was renewing my dealer's insurance. But anyway, back to the story though. I mean, this is insane. Whatever you think, and we have our headaches here at the RUC, but I do not miss dealership life. I mean, do you realize, and granted, these problems he's brought upon himself, but can you imagine that work environment? And now this guy's selling off his stuff because I don't know what the master plan is. I don't know if he's gonna skip town or what. But that being said, if you see anything that pops up on the internet, about a car dealer and some, getting some young chicks pregnant and somebody dying at his house at a party, you didn't hear it from me. Guys, we'll catch you next time at Rabbit's Used Cars.